All right, you guys, we're back with round three of Edison Format plus any one band card. To the left, it's myself with Totally Awesome. And to the right, we got Enrique once again with Painful Choice as he managed to pull off a victory. And he starts off with Reinforcement of the Army. All right, so as he searches what to get, he decides on Armageddon. I was going to let you guys know if there's any cards or any ideas that you guys might like to incorporate or would like to see, just go ahead and leave a comment and we can see what we can do to add this, for a current format in Edison. But nonetheless, Enrique does manage to open up Painful Choice against me, and he's dumping double Norleras, the Phantom. And I remember this game. It was kind of strange. He was dumping Double Norleras, the Phantom, Dark Creator, and Dark Creator. In my head, I would have liked to see him dump some Vayus or some Blackwings. And I asked him a little bit about it later. But he said the main reason is because he had trade-in, and that's what he was trying to do, which is load up his hand with the possibility of potentially drawing more outs. So he does manage to play the trade-in. Now he's debating. Sets one and passes. And for me, you guys will be able to see down the line. Hopefully, I was able to bring out Totally Awesome. And you guys will see how much of a difference that one card it plays in Edison format, and just the possibilities of being able to do a lot. Enrique summons, dumps Plague. In my eyes, I think keeping the Dark Creators in the deck would have been more beneficial in the long run, just because you're able to special summon, keep comboing off, and it's one of those cards that will allow you to break your opponent's board, depending if you can banish the Dark, special summon Armageddon, just as he did with the Plague. It sets up a lot of synchro plays, and it just helps you feel the graveyard. Right now it's interesting because we're both playing a little passive. So I do summon the Duke Frog, add the swap, and this is where I think about it because I recall not having no access to anything, and I was like, oh, what I can do is potentially make Totally Awesome. So I special summon the Swap Frog by dumping the Death Frog. And go salvage, return those two. Use swap effect to add back to the 10, special summon once again, dumping the Treeborn. And this is where it gets interesting, because I'm able to re-normal summon one more frog in addition to the summon. And I'm able to XYZ for Totally Awesome. If you guys aren't familiar with Totally Awesome, it requires 2 level 2 monsters. And one of the things during the standby, it lets you detach one material to special summon level 2 Aqua from the deck, right? That's one of the effects. So it basically lets you re-special summon a Duke Frog. And then the second effect is when your opponent activates a spell trap or monster effect, you can send Aqua from your side of the field or your hand to the graveyard and to negate the activation. And if you do, you're able to set it on your side of the field. And one of the funny things about the trick is that you're able to send Totally Awesome, and then return Totally, and then once again, one Substitute goes to the graveyard. By attributing the card, you're able to return it back to the extra deck if you want to return Substitute, that is, or Totally Awesome. You want to return it, and you can. So it's like an endless loop. But Enrique does go ahead and he normal summons the Card Trooper, manages to hit a Necrogarna, and at this point, Great Wall of China, I say it all the time, which is if you can't get over a Duke Frog, the game just gets tricky. So he activates, and I do Chain Trap Dust Shoot. I noticed he has Dark Arm, Value, Giant True Burial, so I do manage to shuffle the Value back just because I know the Dark Arm isn't going to be live anytime soon. And him being able to discard the Value would be able to set up synchro plays, Soroku and Value. Synchros for 5. Honestly, in my eyes, I was more scared he had the Phantom so he can banish to go into Realis. That's the only reason I pushed for a Toad play. And he does synchro for Catastor. Catastor hits over the Duke. The Duke lets me add any Frog. Most of the time, you just want to add a swap just to thing your deck out. Unless you're scared of something that your opponent might have. Once again, standby phase, you're able to detach one, special summon a level 2 Aqua. And special summon another Swap Frog, dumping another Substitute. So just deck thinning at this point. And I am playing Forged just because I think that, you know, that deck's the, I say, best deck in the format. And standby, you special summon Treeborn. And I already know everything in his hand. So at this point, I believe I just started digging until I can get it to a Fishborg. And I already have it actually, so special summon. And I believe I just end up going into a Stardust at this time as well. Just in case his face down is a Raikou and I don't want to just negate with Totally Awesome off the back. Imagine Totally Awesome with Edison Format back in the day. The worlds would be lost in full existence. Frogs would be from tier 1 to a tier 0. I do manage to special Stardust, and you know, at this point, considering I have mostly everything I want in my hand, and Fishborg's already in the graveyard, I'm able to just recycle and start going for beaters. That's the thing about this deck. It does take quite some time. I know people say, "Oh, it's solitary." Yes, it can be, but ultimately, it does serve a purpose, right? Which is you're deck thinning, and on top of that, you're trying to set up a massive board. So, and it just can get tricky depending on what you draw. So, but that is as soon as that Substitute and Fishborg start going, I just find it hard for a lot of decks to beat it. I will be real though, deck Devi, you know, a well-timed deck Devi can hurt the deck. But also vice versa, if the deck manages to, or you know, you manage to have a salvage in hand, it just has the recursion on this deck is just insane. It just keeps going and going. Once again, another pot, and honestly, the only reason I didn't go into the Armory Arm OTK is because he did have the Necrogarna still in the graveyard. So the only thing I thought about was, hey, I gotta go bigger so that I'm able to just bait out the Catastrophe with the Stardust and still manage to be able to get rid of the face down. Considering I already know everything in his hand, there's not much for me to worry about. I go Bionic, discard, and return the Catastrophe. Stardust attacks the face down, which just happened to be a value. Bionic to attack over the Armageddon, and then Totally Awesome to hit for 2,200. And at the end of it, I just go into Substitute Tribute, special summon the Dupe Frog. It's just a little unfortunate he managed to not dump any Blackwing monsters off that painful choice, so it just costs him. But he does go for a giant Trunade, and I happen to draw into double reckless. So that's 4 cards in my hand to his 3 that I already know everything in on there, and it's just a big wall that I have set up already. I have a negate with Totally Awesome. I have a possible interruption with Stardust and a return with Brionic. Yeah, and ultimately Enrique does decide to scoop it up. So for this No Realis matchup, I believe that I only side DD Crow. That's about my only real out. I do like DD Crow just because it does help out for versatile decks, meaning like Lightsworn, you're able to hit the mirror match, which is a fish deck. And oddly enough, I do side it in against Vayu, depending on if I'm going first or second. Primarily just when I'm going second, I'm trying to beat them to the +1 of getting to DD Crow their card once they discard off Greffer, assuming Vayu Turbo does manage to go off. But yeah, that's normal, my simple way of thinking. And then I'm assuming for Enrique, he's trying to soul release side cards that just kill this deck, soul release DD Crow, and more cards that just manage to interrupt the graveyard. And mainly deck Devi as well, because his deck with this No Realis, you can play it, considering he's playing Vayu with it. But game 2, Enrique is starting off once again. He sets 1, passes turn. Managed to see a little plague right there. I discard Treeborn, Specialman Swap. Normal summon Substitute. Start going off. And honestly, even me doing this, it doesn't even feel comfortable. Just because I know that the deck is still capable of just No Realis and getting rid of everything. And I'm not saying the swap or the frog deck isn't able to have a better top deck than the No Realis, but if they're able to get everything going, it does become an uphill battle. Have the Murray Greed stumping. And that's the thing about this deck. You kind of have to fix your hand depending on whatever it is that you draw. I go into paw. I'm honestly just trying to get into a Fishborg. I recall right now. I'm just give me a Fishborg is all I'm asking for. If I had a Fishborg, then I'm able to start going to Synchro Play Stardust, mainly Brionic, just things to not help my opponent get anything into the graveyard or be able to negate. I do utilize the extra normal summon. Managed to get to the Fishborg. But keep in mind, I had already discarded an additional 2. Salvage to return 2, which is a dupe. Tribute off the Uni, debating on what to summon, get another swap, use the effect of swap, shuffling 2 more, returning back to the hand, shuffling 2 more. Discarding. And I honestly, this is where I forget that I have I could just simply make a Stardust and then just go over it and then up with a dupe lock. Maybe I was just overthinking it. But I ended up going to Totally Awesome, and it did, I attacked the face down. It did happen to be a Raikou. I attributed it. I set it to my side of the field. Oh, actually, I'm unable to set it because it's destroyed. uh, and I end up deciding to return the Totally Awesome. So that's where I'm just definitely I wanted to show off Totally Awesome more than I actually should have just done the Stardust play. Synchro for 8 would have been easy. Get over the Stardust. I'm sorry, get over the Raikou and still have a Stardust with the potential of dupe block on my side of the field. So that was just a greedy play trying to go into Totally Awesome when I didn't need to. Ended up putting me on egg. Look, I only have 3 cards in one set. So with Salvage and Paw, I definitely when lost my whole hand over nothing. And then for Enrique to top deck into another painful choice, well, painful choice game 2, it shows the potential where what his deck can do with one card, right? So I did give him the level 6 Blackwing, but now he's got 3 values in the graveyard, so he's fully loaded. 3 values, and he's able to build up the graveyard and apply a lot of pressure, right? He banishes 2, and now on top of this, yes, I'm sure he's got a Blackwing, but he's able to set up for a deck Devi. And I recall he just shotguns it, and he gets rid of my Substitute. I did have a Wing Blast, but it's still just tough, right? You guys know if deck Devi, he's got Dark Arm, banishes 2. And I only have a Wing Blast to try playing out of this. Mindful, I do have Treeborn in the graveyard, so I know it does come back. I have a Salvage I can potentially get to. But Enrique, he's going in. He knows that I don't have Gores, so he managed to get over with the Monk and fuel the graveyard, Pot of Avarice. Pass his turn, so I think I'm sitting under 2,000 at this time. I discarded the Murigri to special him in the Fishbark, and I'm thinking right here where I can just tribute off the Treeborn, Synchro for Brionic, and return everything back to the hand. And that's exactly what I do. Tribute off the Treeborn, summon Dash Frog, Synchro for Brionic, use Brionic effect to return both of them to the hand, and then attack over the Monk. So in my head, I'm thinking, hey, as long as he doesn't get into a dark or doesn't find any more darks, then I can live off this Brionic. Wait, sure enough, he summons, he crashes, specialments, Dark Arm, manages to get rid of my Brionic. And he banishes a Vayu and Sirocco to summon another Armweak. I drew into pot, and at this time, well, I specialman Treeborn. If I activate pot, I need a salvage. I need a miracle. You get what I'm saying? It's not looking good. I need a even double death just so I can go into Koi or something. I managed to, draw into the Foolish. All I do is play Foolish, Dumb Dandy, and I'm like, maybe if I live a turn. If he doesn't get into another monster, I'm able to get into a Substitute, or then potentially draw into an Avarice, but I pass, and Enrique has charge, and that's game. 2 more darks, fuel up the graveyard. So I'm telling you guys, this Norleras deck is hot. I love it. I love it. The potential plays he's able to make and what he's able to do, I love it. It's probably one of those decks I'm telling you guys I will try down the line. So Enrique's able to take game 2, and then I start off for game 3. In game 3, I just my goal is combo now. I don't care about what my opponent's gonna do. I just care about what I do now. So my goal is just to set up a big board and wait to see if my opponent could break it, or a simple dupe block, and if not, then potentially just get into cards that break my opponent's board, because I do keep one DD Crow in just for that what if factor. But once again, I start off with dumping Uni, special summoning Swap, dumping Substitute, normal summoning the Substitute, and use the effect to discard it to special summon. And then I use the extra normal summon effect, tribute off, and keep comboing. So I potentially end up making Totally Awesome again with the Duke block. I end up with Totally Awesome and with Substitute. Then I set one, and it just happened to be I detached special summon, and my face down was Trap Dushu, right? But we didn't get to see it, so this is why I wanted to talk. Unfortunately, I did have camera issues. I didn't realize that I didn't delete last week's game, so it over flooded my storage. But point being is that as you guys saw how I ended up with Totally Awesome, poor Enrique, he wasn't able to see it. Now I believe his hand was like Vayu, and just Plague, a bunch of floaters that weren't going to do nothing. And sure enough, the following turn, I already had the Substitute and the dupe. I was able to just clear, beat him down with a bunch of frogs, which is 19, 19, 19, and 22 with the Totally Awesome. So, but GG's to Enrique. Y'all hopefully will be able to see the following games. And if you guys, I'm telling you, if you guys have any ideas of certain cards you want to see or any content you guys like to be a part of, just let me know. We can always do it. Me and my buddies are doing this. We're always averaging about 20 people, so keep us updated. All right, you guys. See you on the next one.